There's a reason Dostoevsky doesn't feel like literature. It feels like diagnosis, honestly. You don't read Dostoevsky, you are exposed by him. Your ego, pride, loneliness, your contradictions all leads so bare. And what he understood better than most philosophers, psychologists, and modern self-help gurus is this: human beings is not growing by suffering, but by the lies they tell themselves to avoid that. Dostoevsky lived in extremes: poverty, prison, exile, mere execution. And because of that, he didn't romanticize his human soul. He dissected it. He looked at the pride, ambition, morality, love, faith, and respect, and asked the most uncomfortable question at all: what if the thing you're most proud of is also the thing isolating you? One of the Dostoevsky's most brutal lessons is about self pride. Not confidence, not self respect, but pride. The kind that says, I don't need anyone, I see through everyone, I'm different, I'm above this. These characters are often intelligent, perceptive, deeply aware, and deeply lonely. Think of Raskolnikov from Crime and Punishment. He believed he's special. He believes he operates by higher moral logic. He believes ordinary rules don't apply to him. And that belief, the intellectual pride, becomes his prison. Dostoevsky shows us suffer isolates because suffer isolates you because you're unconsciously separating yourself from them. You stop connecting, you stop admitting vulnerability, you stop being in touch with them. You become a spectator of humanity instead of a participant. This is one of the most painful truth. The more you define yourself as above others, the more lonely you become, not morally but existentially. And loneliness in the world is not quiet or is not is loud, obsessive, and self-destructive. Another lesson Dostoevsky gives us is about suffering. And this one goes against everything modern culture teaches, okay? We're told to avoid pain, to numb it, to distract ourselves, to stay positive. Dostoevsky says the opposite. He believes suffering has meaning not because pain is good, but because it forces self confrontation. In no, from underground, the narrator is bitter, isolated, and intelligent, and deeply resentful. He knows himself, but he refuses to change. And that's a danger Dostoevsky warns us about. Self awareness without humility becomes self hatred. When you see your flaws but refuse responsibility, you don't evolve. You rot internally. Dostoevsky also understood something terrifyingly more. People don't want freedom as much as they say they do. In The Brother Karamazov, famous parable, Grand Inquisitor explains this perfectly. Humans crave certainty, authority, structure, even at the cost of freedom. Because, wow, freedom requires responsibility, and responsibility requires courage. Most people rather be told what to think, how to live, who to blame. And those who refuse this, those who think independently, often pay the price with isolation. This is where Dostoevsky becomes uncomfortable for people like us because he doesn't glamorize in thousands or independence. Okay, he asks, "What are you willing to sacrifice to keep your pride intact? Connection, love, peace." Another major lesson is that isolation isn't always imposed, okay? Sometimes it's chosen. These characters often push people away, then suffer from the loneliness they created itself. They crave intimacy but fear exposure. They want love but reject weaknesses. They want understand but refuse to be seen. And that is so painfully human. Or many of us say we want connection but don't want to be known. How many of us choose emotional distance and call it strength? How many of us hide behind intelligent superiority? Dostoevsky doesn't judge this. He simply shows us the cause. He also believed that compassion is not naive, it's revolutionary. In a world obsessed with dominance, ego, power, and being right, Dostoevsky placed redemption not intelligent but in empathy. Not in surface level empathy, but the kind that sees human contradiction and still shows us understanding. He believes salvation, psychological and spiritual, comes not from proving your worth, but from participating in humanity despite its ugliness. There's another thing we have to know, maybe the hardest one. The deepest human conflict is not between good and evil, but between pride and love. Pride isolates, love requires surrender. Pride keeps you intact. Love breaks you open, and Dostoevsky believed that a life untouched by suffering, humility, and connections may look strong, but it's all hollow. So if you feel isolated, misunderstood, or different, Dostoevsky wouldn't tell you to fix yourself. He would ask you, where has pride replaced vulnerability? Where has intelligence replaced intimacy? Where have you chosen superiority over connection? Not to shame you, but to awaken you. Dostoevsky doesn't offer comfort. He offers truth. And his shape truth is this: you don't escape suffering by denying it. You don't escape loneliness by pretending you don't need people. You don't become whole by being above humanity. You become whole by being a part of it. Maybe the real strength isn't about standing alone, but allowing yourself to be seen, flawed, human, still choosing to be loved, still choosing to love and be loved. So when I talk about Dostoevsky, I'm not talking about some distant Russian writer, okay, from the 1800s. I'm talking about real life. I'm talking about what it feels to walk into a room and already know you don't feel like you belong there. Not because you're unworthy, no, but because you've seen too much. I've always noticed this about myself. I observe before I speak. I read energy before I trust words. I sense patterns faster than people realize. And that kind of awareness, it isolates you. Not immediately, not loudly, but slowly. Because when you're perceptive, when you're intense, when you think too deeply, casual connections start to feel so shallow, conversations feel so repetitive, people feel predictable. And without realizing, you just start to pull back, not because you hate people, but because being seen feels so rare. The Sasuke understood this type of isolation intimately. His characters weren't lonely because they were rejected, they were lonely because they couldn't lie to themselves anymore. Once you see human contradiction, once you see how fragile ego really is, how much of society is performance, you can't unsee that, and that changes how you view move. I've been in situations in which I could have blended, I could have stayed agreeable, I could have loved the jokes that I didn't find funny, tolerated behavior that didn't sit right with me, lower my standards just to belong. But something in me refused, and that refusal, that's pride. Not the loud kind, but the quiet kind that says, I'd rather be alone than betray myself. Dostoevsky would say that this is more strength than danger because pride protects your identity, and it can also become also become a high that nothing reaches you anymore. And I felt that. There were moments where I mistake emotional distance for maturity, where I thought that being untouchable means evolve, where I told myself I don't need anyone, I'm fine by my own. But the truth is, no one is meant to be untouched. Dostoevsky keeps the teaches that complete self-sufficiency is a myth, and believing it too deeply turns you into an island, intelligent, stable, controlled, but cut off. And the worst part is that you don't even notice loneliness at first because pride numbs it. You stay busy, focused, composed, and one day you realize you're surrounded by people, yet unseen. That's when the Suzuki hits the hardest because he shames ambition. Okay? He doesn't shame independence. He doesn't shame strength. What he wants against is using those traits as armors instead of vulnerability. I mean, against vulnerability. I've noticed this in friendships too. I'm naturally attract people who admire my confidence, my clarity, presence, and they feel comfortable around me, safe, so drawn in. But the moment they realize I'm not endlessly accommodating, that I won't tolerate disrespect, emotional laziness, or subtle manipulation, but my dynamic shifts. Some grow with me, some reveals resentment, some disappear. And the Suski would say good because real connections could exist without introspective in philosophy. Okay, friendship wasn't about similarity; it was about shared responsibility, about seeing each other's flaws without turning them into weapons, about staying present even when ego wants to retreat. And that's very rare, especially when you're someone who's evolving. Who is evolving quickly. I learned that with everyone who walks with you is meant to walk far. Some people are chapters, some are lessons, some are mirrors showing who you used to be or who you never want to become. And instead of resenting that, I started honoring it. Dostoevsky believed that life is not about avoiding suffering, it's about extracting meaning from it. every disappointment, every broken connections, every moment of isolation. It shaped in your morals and emotional spine. You don't become deep by staying uncomfortable. You become deep by surviving confrontation. So now I'm more differently. I still observe. I still think so deeply. I still protect my energy. But I don't confuse emotional distance with wisdom anymore. I allow connections selectively. I allow softness intentionally. I allow people to see me carefully because strength without bigness becomes cruelty to yourself, and intelligence without love becomes isolation. Dostoevsky didn't believe salvation comes from being superior. He believed it comes from choosing humanity despite its mass. And maybe that's a realism, not the strength, to harden, not to dominate, but to stay awake, self-aware, open, without losing yourself. To walk to the world with standards and compassion, with pride and humility, with ambition and connection. The balance, that's where the real power lives. And I hope you guys really like this video. Thank you so much for watching.